Hi there, I'm AWayfaringFrog and welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new here. Today I'm back with another speed build and I'm really excited for this one because it's using the new Riviera Retreat kit. This isn't a limited pack build though, because honestly I've never actually limited my packs when making builds, and I made this for my personal save file rather than as a build video initially. So I just went nuts, to be honest. I don't remember how many packs there are in it, but it is not limited. I actually started this build while I was playing in my save file, and I brought Morgan Ember here to collect some of the notes and bottles because I think they're fun decor. They're from the Wedding Stories pack in Tartosa, and I just wanted those to decorate their house with. And then it turned out they hadn't loaded in, so I just hung around thinking, I guess I'll wait then. And after looking at the empty lot for a bit, I realised that it looked so silly that this lovely beach lot wasn't being used, since I'd never built on it before, and it comes in the game as a residential lot, so there's just this random post box in the middle of it. So I just started building, and partway through I figured I should record it, so I quickly bulldozed, hit record, and started all over again. So I'd actually made this crazy pool layout twice. It was fun though, so I didn't really mind, and I was quicker the second time around. But as you can see, I've made quite a weird pool layout. I just kind of wanted it to not be a rectangle, and I felt like a lot of resorts, which is what this ends up being, like a pool or a beach resort, have very intricate styles for their pools. They're not just a rectangle. So I thought it would be quite a fun idea. And then I raised it on a platform, so at least the sand wouldn't be falling into the pool quite as regularly. And these rocks that I put around the edges, which are from the new kit, I think they look really nice and they help to sort of make the area look a bit more natural. Also, one of the fountain rocks, it was the biggest one that I placed down. I a lot later realized that I think that was placed almost like it was on the second floor or in the basement or something, because as you can see, it's currently disappeared, but the shadow for it's still there. So I didn't notice that for ages, and there's several times where I end up putting something in its place. And then I think I put the new table with the umbrella there. So there's just a table clipping with this rock, because as far as I was concerned, it was a blank space and looked like a nice place to put one of the dining tables. But I do end up fixing that for the screenshots and for the version that's up on the gallery. So don't worry too much about that. I do notice eventually. I also managed to use every item in the pack. So here you can see I'm placing all of these stone walkway pieces that came in the new Riviera Retreat kit. They're a bit difficult to use because there aren't too many variants of it. Unlike the debug stones that you can get in base game, these ones only come in two variants for each color swatch. So it was a bit difficult to include them, but I did want to make sure that I incorporated them. I just kind of dotted those around and sized a few up and down so that I could make a fairly even looking path. I'm now just pulling out a few other items from this new kit. I really like this fountain piece and this plant. I think I'll be using it a lot of my builds from now on. The pool ladder as well is quite a nice addition, just because I think the other ones in the game are really plain, or there's one that's stylized like a rock, so it's nice to have a more modern twist to having a pool ladder. For the building that's currently on the lot as well, that ends up including a few bathrooms, which you could also pretend are changing rooms, and some showers. And I also add a kitchen, just because I thought if your sim wanted to have a party here or something, it would be then really easy to be able to make food. And as you can kind of see from the simple shape of it, I didn't really think much about what that was going to look like until very shortly, where I start realizing that I can't just have a very boring rectangle. So here I'm just adding a second floor, and then I end up extending the leftmost piece out a bit just to make the shape of it slightly more interesting, so it's not just a boring rectangle. But initially, when I started building this, it was just all about the pool, so I was more concerned with that at first. But here now I'm just roofing this section of the building. I did originally try using flat roofs, but I cut that out because it just didn't look good at all. And I think this suits the world of Tartosa more, since all of the buildings in the background have this kind of roofing. So I much preferred how it was looking here. It does change a couple of times though, just me fiddling with the eaves and everything, but it pretty much stays like that otherwise. And then on this wall that I'm working on now, because it was such a big blank wall, and from the sides it just looked really ugly, so I really wanted to make that look a bit more interesting, which is why I've got these eco lifestyle slats, just to break up the same brick that's painted across the entire build. And I included a little planter pot here with just some of the base game flowers and a couple of items from Island Living, which is that grass. I also used the windows from the Wedding Stories pack since, again, they suited the world really well, and I love the shutters on them. So that really helped bring in a lot more of the wood tones that I had. The fence as well is from, I think it was the Garden Oasis kit. I really like that, and again, it comes in virtually the same colour swatch, so I thought that was nice to include, and it gave kind of a beachy vibe. Speaking of which, I did upload this onto the gallery as a pool lot type, I believe, but it can also be classed as a beach lot type. It's got the required items for each, so you could change that if you did want to download the build. Also, I have put this build on the gallery, but it has a really horrible picture because apparently The Sims 4 is really cruel, and where they've decided to have the picture be taken from is like within that wall that's surrounding the lot. So it just looks absolutely ridiculous and you can't even see the build. But it is there. Now just working on some of the landscaping. I did cut some of this out from the initial part of the video because I end up revising it a lot later to better match the surrounding area in Tartosa. The palm trees pretty much stay put, but in a bit I'll end up adding some of the grassy patches that come from Island Living. And I did quite like how it looked, but in the end I decided it just felt a bit too tropical for Tartosa. So I switched that out to just some base game flowers, which you can see in the area around. And then here, I really like this pink tree that comes in the Wedding Stories debug. So I thought it would be quite nice to just pop that overhanging the pool here. I made a little garden area on the platform, just using some stones so that you couldn't see the change in the floor tile. I'd actually be curious on your thoughts of the Wedding Stories pack. So initially when it came out, I bought it mostly because I really liked the assets that came in it, like the Create a Sim stuff and the build stuff. And then the world just really sold the pack to me. But otherwise, even before I learned how buggy the gameplay was, I don't think I actually cared that much about it. To be honest, whenever I played The Sims, the weddings in general didn't seem that exciting to me, even in the base game, before Wedding Stories changed the way it works. So I just didn't really care that much for it. It was kind of fun, and it's quite cute to have it, but sadly it is completely broken. So I would be interested in hearing your thoughts if you decided not to buy it because of the bugs, or if you're like me and you just like everything else in the pack enough that you figured it would be worth the price. It always intrigues me in general why it is that people buy certain packs. So again, very unpopular one is Journey to Batu, and I think Strangerville is quite an unpopular one as well. I ended up getting those while they were on sale. I probably wouldn't have wanted to pay full price for them anyway, but I mean, Journey to Batu, I stand by that pack. Do not like it at all. It's I mostly bought it for some of the assets. It's good for rundown builds, industrial builds, and the flooring is really nice. But otherwise, not worth it. But Strangerville, I was really surprised by. I actually loved the gameplay for that. Doesn't have a lot of replayability, but it was a lot of fun. So I'd recommend having a look into it if you have been thinking about that one. It is quite interesting. Now I've just cut into the floor plan, which I didn't film because it took me quite a while. I just couldn't get the stairs to look right, whilst also giving space for changing rooms and bathrooms, so I decided to not put you through that entire process. I had started furnishing the shower room and the toilets though, so you can see me now just finishing the toilets off, and at this point I decided I wanted to make that corner room to be a kitchen instead, so I moved the showers into this slightly smaller space. But otherwise, this is pretty much how I furnished it in there with these slats. And I used the showers from the university pack. I quite like making custom showers, to be honest, rather than using the cubicles. I just think it looks quite nice, and I thought it worked well with the slats from Eco Lifestyle that are also incorporated on the outside of the build. And now moving into the kitchen. I use the Home Chef Hustle counters here. They're probably my favourite kitchen set still, to be honest. I really love that pack. I'd absolutely recommend it if you don't already have it. The gameplay is really fun as well. I really enjoy it. And whilst it might seem a bit odd to have a kitchen on sort of a pool or beach resort lot, I thought it would be useful for gameplay, and I like the idea of your Sims having a cup of tea while they sit on their lounge chairs outside. So again, I included that kettle, which I think that one came from For Rent. And now I'm just adding a bit more clutter to make this space look used. So I grab a few plates and I think mugs from various packs, although I think one of the plates does glitch out and disappear entirely. I also really like how much slotting there is available on the shelves that I've just put up on the wall. They're from the Home Chef Hustle pack again. I don't know if it's just me, but I swear the base game shelves just have almost no space for anything to be slotted to it. It has to be a really small item. So it's really nice that they've started changing that so you can actually clutter it without having to use cheats all the time. And you might have just noticed I picked out a cake stand, which is actually from the newest pack. It's the party one. I'm not sure off the top of my head what the pack is actually called though. I like the idea of having that around in the build for if your Sims decided to come here for a birthday party or something, but without putting it on the only available counter, which your Sims would need to be able to prepare food on. I didn't really see how it could fit within the kitchen area, so I just dumped it outside of the room, figuring that I might be able to find a space for it later, so I didn't want to forget about it. But it doesn't make the cut for the end of the video, and I do remove it later on, but for quite a while it's just floating about, so feel free to ignore that. I'm also just adding a few plants underneath the stairwell. I think it looks quite nice and brightens up the space again, so I quite like doing this when I'm not using actual solid wall underneath the stairs. And then for the main room, I wanted to have sort of a resting space in here in the shade for your Sims, so I end up using some sofas. And since I'd already used a couple of things from, well, I think I'd only used the fence to be honest, but from that Courtyard Oasis kit, I thought it would be quite nice to use the sofas from there since they match, and I've used the doors around as well. So again, that works quite well together. And it brings in the red from the curtains from the new Riviera Retreat kit. I also added these signs around, which are from high school years, just to make the lot look a bit more like a commercial lot rather than a house or something. I liked again that they had the same gold colour that was accented throughout all of the other items within this build. Considering this is the first time I've ever actually built a pool lot in The Sims 4, I think it's come together really well, and most of it's probably down to the new Riviera Retreat kit. So again, if you are thinking of possibly buying it, I think it's worth it. And even if you don't do a commercial lot like I am doing here, I think it would, all of the pieces would look really nice in a home as well. I've actually used a few pieces from that to decorate my Sims builds within my own personal gameplay, and they look really nice. So I think it's something that I'll probably use quite a lot whenever I have a pool. So I think it was definitely worth buying. And again, for the bistro kit, even though I don't make cafes and things that often, I think that's a really nice addition to the game. So I really enjoy that one. And now I decided that it would be quite good to have a hot tub on the lot, just as another activity for your Sims. And I remembered this one from the For Rent pack actually comes in a rocky kind of swatch. So that just felt really perfect to go with this build. And again, the colours seem to match quite well to that. So I add in a little section of the platform that I've got around the pool here to incorporate that in. And I surround it with some of the rocks again from the new kit so that it looks a bit more built in. I have play tested that as well, and your Sims can still access, I believe, all four corners of it, so there shouldn't be any issues with gameplay from that point of view. While I was play testing as well, I think the Sims actually preferred getting into the hot tub rather than using the pool or swimming in the nearby ocean. So it looks like it was a good shout, recommended by all Sims from my save file at least. I often wonder as well if when they're making kits, do they think about the recent expansion packs and game packs that have come out? Because this hot tub, to be honest, just feels like it was supposed to maybe come in this pack, but instead they put it in the For Rent. So I don't know if that was just a happy coincidence or if that was a conscious decision at some point and maybe they took it out of this kit or something like that. But I'm kind of curious why it looks so similar. And you'll have just seen me grab a fire pit, which again is from the new kit. That does move eventually, and for now I'm just decorating under this arbor. The fire pit ends up coming down next to this, and for ages I couldn't find a place to put it. I sort of tried every nook and cranny of the lot to see where it would work, but it felt like something that needs to be more purposeful rather than just tucking it into a corner. So I think it works out really nicely in the end, and I end up using the high school years sofa to sit with it. It looks really pretty, and then your Sims next to that arbor can sit on that sofa in front of the fire pit and look out at the ocean, and I think it's really nice. So now I'm just adding in a bit more seating around the pool area so that your Sims have somewhere to sit rather than just using the sunbeds. I do also incorporate a barbecue shortly. It will go next to the pink tree. I really like all of the colours that these chairs and tables come in from the new pack. I think it's something that I'll be using a lot more often now. I usually struggle to find an outdoor chair that I actually like in the game. I don't know what it is about the existing ones, but I think a lot of the styles and swatches just don't really fit some of the builds that I tend to try and make. So these ones, I think they suit a modern build and they look really cute, especially with the scalloped umbrella. So I think it would look quite nice in like a cottage style as well. So it's definitely something I'm going to be using a lot of. So I just added the pool lights in. So that was another item from the new kit ticked off since I was determined to use every single item. And again, let me know if you think I might have missed one, but I'm pretty sure I did use each item in the game, including both of the wallpapers. The tiled wallpaper is just in the pool. Now just adding a few more items around outside, including this towel rack next to the hot tub so that your Sims can access towels quite easily. And I'm back up onto the top of the lot where I've included these sunbeds for your Sims. Again, I added another towel rack here for ease of access, though from a gameplay point of view, it's just more for looks. I also picked out this plant from, I think it was the Paranormal stuff pack. It seemed very in keeping with the trees that I had around since they were all palm trees as well. So I quite liked including that. And now I'm just putting the fire pit where I mentioned I included it earlier with that sofa. You wouldn't believe how long it took me to find that spot though. I cut all of it out of the video, but I was looking around for so long. Classic Amy being entirely indecisive again. And now I'm just adding a few final touches. I include a couple of the candles from Dine Out up here with the sunbeds, just to add a bit more nice lighting during the evenings on the lot. And I include a chess table in this little room. So again, just another functional item for your Sims to use. And very shortly, the landscaping will change slightly, like I mentioned, so there'll be more flowers around and it will look a bit less tropical. I also realised that I didn't include a bin on the slot, so I do add one of those. So if your Sims do have trash to take out at any point, they can do that. I also just wanted to edit this sign here. I didn't like how big it was in the end, and I thought it might look nicer to brighten up the space with some more of these flowers, which have been dotted around in a couple of places. So again, they're just the ones from base game, and it gave me an opportunity to use this really nice waterfall feature again, which I really like. So now just changing the scenery around or the landscaping to include a few more items from the Tartosa world that you can see in the background. I really like these little trees and I thought they looked quite cute next to this arbor, so I add those in. And now I should just be grabbing those flowers that I mentioned, which are from the base game debug, but they're used around the world in Tartosa. I thought I did cut this out, but it looks like I didn't, though I think when I add some other flowers shortly, that is cut out of the build. They're just the hydrangea bushes that you can get. They're both in debug and the normal base game catalogue, so they will just appear shortly. And again, they help add a lot of colour to the space, which I think at this point it does need. You can also see that some of the Sims that I've been playtesting with have moved around the items in the swimming pool, but I do move those back for the shot on the gallery. Not that you'd know though, because the shot looks so awful, thanks to the gallery being a bit glitchy. And we're now coming towards the end of the speed build portion of the video, so if you haven't already, please be sure to hit that like button. It really helps the channel out. And make sure to subscribe and enable notifications so you know when my next video is coming out. You can also download this build using my EA ID on the Sims 4 gallery, which is just AWayfaringFrog. And as always, if you have any ideas for future builds that you'd like to see here on the channel, please be sure to leave a comment below and let me know your thoughts. I do have some plans already, including my next video, so spoiler alert, it's going to be another Animal Crossing related build, hopefully just another residential house since I haven't done one in a while, and I was thinking of doing one for Molly, the duck from the games. So stay tuned for that. Thanks again, I hope you enjoy the screenshots and have a great rest of your day.